Welcome back to another episode of the Hurt Business Podcast. As always, I'm your host, Ferrari, and I'm joined today by the Magic Man, Mr. Kyle Boller. How we doing today, Chief?
I'm doing good.
Please don't tell me I fucked up the last name. Is it Ball? How do we? What's the proper pronunciation on
You're
it?
not the only one to do it. Actually, a lot of my fights, the announcer messes it up, and I have to correct him. It's bowler, so
Bowler. Okay.
like the sport bowler. Yeah.
Bowler. All
But I've
right.
heard the same thing. I heard bowler, baller, all that, like baller, all that stuff.
Yeah. It's no way in it.
Don't
All
worry.
right, my bad. Good to know. Kyle Boller, the Magic Man. Nice to meet you, brother. Why do we call you the Magic Man?
All right, so the credit of the name goes to a really good friend of mine. His name is Coach Kyle, the same name. He was the baseball coach of my younger brother who played like travel baseball in the town that I'm from. And my whole life since I was like probably in middle school, I got into like close-up magic, like card tricks, kind of like that David Blaine street magic type of tricks. I watched like America's Got Talent with my family all the time as a kid, and I got really into like magic and those type of tricks, and I got really like obsessed with it. So I just started learning how to do it. I would show them to my grandfather who lived with me and got really good at it. And so we were at a tournament with Coach Kyle and my brother, and I started, we were just hanging out in the hotel, and there was a deck of cards, and I started showing some tricks, and he just has the absolute best reactions to it. He thought it was insane to get mad at me because he doesn't know how I do it. And then so at all the gatherings now, I pull out the deck of cards and I show card tricks, and he started calling me Magic Man, and it kind of stuck. So now, and then when I went to college freshman year, around the dorm, I would show magic tricks too, and people would start calling me Magic Man, and it kind of stuck. So when I needed a nickname for fighting, I was like, it's got to be Magic Man. And it also plays into like my fighting style too, like very deceptive. Like now you see me, now you don't. So it works perfect. Yeah.
Now the Magic Man is quite the nickname. Even if you didn't do any magic, if you just said that last part right there, that would have been sick. But the fact that you know how to do card tricks is pretty cool shit. Now, which kind of card tricks are we talking about? Are we talking about like the ones that like you just what I'm saying, like you just find the card out of the deck, or are you doing like some really complex, like break your mind sort of magic?
I've gotten to the point where I've just watched people like the winners of America's Got Talent, like that guy Shin Lim or Matt Franco, like those type of guys. I can just watch their tricks and I replay it a couple of times, and I can just do it and do the tricks. Like Matt Franco, the trick that he did to win the $1 million America's Got Talent, I know how to do that trick. Shin Lim just went on like Good Morning America like 2 weeks ago, and I saw it and I was like, that's my exact trick that I do. Like yeah, I can show you. I can do one over the call if you want, because I always have a deck of cards.
You got it just handy man.
I usually do. Here we go. A lot of them I would like pan it down a little bit. A lot of them I like to do are ones like that take place in like other people's hands, like David Blaine Street Magic one, but I can try to do one where I can do this over the phone. So here we go. Same thing, just a deck of cards, right? I'm just gonna go down here and I'm just gonna say the word stop, and we're gonna stop wherever there. Okay, ready?
All right.
Here we go.
Stop.
Right there?
Yeah.
All right, so we're gonna take this card. I'm gonna look away. You just look at it, make sure you remember it. Can you see it?
Yep. All right. We see it.
I'll take it. I'll put it there. I'm gonna put the rest of the deck on top of it. All right. And I see if I just do something like that, and I spread out the cards.
What the fuck?
Yeah, one of the cards turns blue. And then don't say anything yet, but can you say your card for the first? Actually, say your card for the first time.
We had an ace of spades.
You see ace of spades?
How did it turn blue?
Oh wait, I could try to do it one more time in case you thought that was like kind of, could have been a fluke, could have been set up, something like that. I'll do it one more time so you can really pay attention. I'll take the ace of spades. I'll just leave it like right. I'll leave it like right there. Okay. And then same thing. I'll give the cards like a shuffle.
Can we see the deck? Can we see that there's all red cards?
Oh, it's all there. You go. All red cards.
Okay. Okay.
You can see.
That's
And
that's
then I
that's
can
where
do a
my
couple
brain is broken.
shuffles. The deck move a little bit. One of my favorite shuffles is here. Do some like really cool stuff.
Oh shit. Okay. See, I can't even do that. I'll try to do that, and I'll bend the cards. I'll mess them up. I'll rip them.
Yeah.
That's
I've been doing this forever. So you give me a deck of cards, I can do almost anything. I'm gonna do the same thing. I'm gonna go down the cards. You just say stop.
word. Stop.
Sorry. Do it again.
Stop.
Right there.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm gonna same thing. You take it. You look at it.
Drop it down a little high there. Okay.
Got it.
Yep.
See it? Okay. I'll put it here. Same thing with the card. A couple shuffles. And you remember, you had the ace of spades before, and it turned blue, right? I'm gonna do the same thing.
Yeah.
I'm gonna take your card you just saw, and I'm gonna turn it blue. Well, I didn't say it was going to be here. I said it was going to turn blue, right? So remember the ace of spades from earlier?
Yeah.
Is that your card?
Yo, no way. No way.
Is
No
this the
fucking
card?
way. You didn't move that card, and that was the ace of spades 1
You
second
can
ago.
go.
How did
You
you
can go
get
watch that. You can go watch that back too. That's able to replay.
that was my card. That was the second one that we pulled. Now I have to ask you, how on earth do you do something like that?
That's the thing I can't say. People always ask me, can't you just tell me when? I'm like, no, because it takes the fun out of it. It's not magic anymore. You know what I mean?
What drew you to magic though? Like, what is it? Was it the art of like deceiving people, kind of making people think one thing and then blowing their minds? Was that cool to you as a youngin?
It was just the technique, and that it was I didn't know how to do it, and that's what kind of excited me about it, because you watch that and you're like, how is that possible? How do these people do it? And so once I saw that, I was like, I need to learn how to do it. I need to try to master it. And I wasn't good at it at first. And my grandfather, who lives with me, is like, that was a big part of it. Like, I would show it to him, and he wasn't like, oh yeah, that was good. If I messed up, he would tell me, like, I know exactly how you did that. And that just made me better. I just loved the challenge aspect of it. I became very obsessed with it. That kind of plays into my fighting too. Like, once I saw MMA and people doing that, I became very obsessed. I get very like obsessive with things when I want to do them, and I'm passionate about them. It was just something that was really cool to me.
Fine. We'll get into the fighting, but last thing on the magic, because my brain is just so fixated on this. You mentioned watching like professionals, guys who won award shows by Magic with Magic, and you noticing how they did what they did. Is there a major thing that a lot of magicians do online that you're like, this is wrong? This is how I know you're not one of them ones.
Yeah, so you see a lot of those like magicians, I'm sure, they're just scrolling through TikTok, like the ones that do like the TikTok videos. And there's always a big difference between the ones that are doing like really talented sleight of hand stuff, or the ones that are doing stuff that plays to the camera and like what you can't see outside of it. I think the real challenge of magic like that is the close-up aspect of it. Like, I could have done that same exact trick if me and you were in the same room, and or I could have had you hold that blue card the whole time. And I think that is so much harder when the other person is so like feeling it, seeing it right in front of their eyes. That's what's really hard about magic. You see a lot of magicians online that, kind of cheat a little bit and use the fact that they aren't in the same room as you to pull off their effects. And I kind of think like that's kind of a cop out almost. Like, the real challenging part is being able to do it right there. Like, give me a deck of cards, or I have a deck of cards here. I can do this, and I can do something really cool.
Now that was pretty cool what you just did. I had never seen nobody change the color of a card and then have a card sitting in front of me, not see it move, but it's somehow changing. I don't know how you did it.
I sometimes I have a bunch of them that I do. Sometimes I post them on my Instagram story. I have a couple of videos. I'll send you one of my other favorite ones afterwards.
If I
Yeah, I've
I
got a
seen
bunch
I seen one in the I seen you did one in front of Alex and his whole crew and Glover
Yeah,
and Coach,
that's
and
my
that's sick.
yeah, that was one of my favorite routines. So that was at Alex Pereira's birthday party in July in New York City. And anytime I go to a party now, my girlfriend's like, I mean, you got to bring a deck of cards. So I'm like, all right, of course. Glover knows, I've known for a while. Glover knows about the magic and that I do magic, and he's the same thing. He's called me Magic Man sometimes. Um, and so I showed, Glover saw me doing the tricks to some like the other fighters and my teammates. And he pulled Alex over, and Plinio was like, guys, you gotta come see this. So then I showed that trick to them. I had him sign a card, and I told him, see, now I could sell this. It's kind of just like a funny little thing. It was a
I hope
good
he
time.
kept the card.
I kept the card. I took it, and I have one of those like the plastic sleeves you put it in. It's there. It's right.
Mm.
It's right it's in my bedroom. I was like, I need to keep that.
Heck
That was
yeah.
pretty.
Heck
That was
yes.
pretty cool. Hmm.
That's one of the pound for pound guys right now, bro. One of the best fighters on planet Earth today.
Yeah.
Cool shit,
Hmm.
man. And you train with those guys all the time that we'll talk about in a few minutes. But first, I kind of want to talk about your life in sports, right? It didn't start in kickboxing or Muay Thai or kickboxing or all and jujitsu. It started in hockey, is that right?
Yeah, that was like my first sport, hockey. Yep. Hmm.
Tell me about it. When did you start hockey? Was that your first love?
Yeah, so my family, my whole life has basically been hockey. You see the New York Rangers sweater. My dad has worked for the New York Rangers for like 20 years, over 20 years. And he's always been like a hockey player. Hockey's been his whole life. And so when I grew up, I was playing hockey since I could walk. I was in a pair of skates, and always a big Rangers fan. And since, like I said, since I could walk, I was in a pair of skates. I was doing youth hockey my whole life. I played all the way through high school, and when I got to that point when I was going to college, I had to make a decision: do I want to play hockey in college or do I want to pursue fighting? And I had felt like I had so much success in hockey. I loved it so much. Now it's time to turn a new chapter and go to fighting. But hockey was always a family thing since my family, my dad was always so involved with it. And just my life basically revolved around that when I was a kid.
What position did you play?
I was a forward, usually like a left winger. Yeah.
Okay. Now
Mhm.
I'm not too familiar with hockey. That's one of the sports I never really was around growing up. Were you
Mhm.
scoring goals or you defensive?
As a forward, I was scoring goals. I was a big goal
Nice.
scorer.
All
Like to use
right.
kind of like I was small. I was always smaller. I'm a smaller weight class, smaller guy. But so I'd always use like my speed advantage to try to get in there, really put the pressure and get past guys and get pucks in the net. That was always my thing.
Mm,
Hmm.
heck yeah. Was it hard for you to say, I'm gonna hang up the skates and I'm gonna pick up the gloves? Was that hard to officially make that transition?
Definitely hard, because especially with my dad working with hockey, and he still does work for the Rangers. We coached for a while, like was general manager of the Rangers and coach of like the Rangers AHL team, and now he works in management for the Rangers. It was definitely like I felt like I didn't want to like let him down. Like maybe he wanted me to be like this big hockey star, but he was like, no, like do whatever you want to do. My brother's the opposite. My little brother, younger brother, he's like fully into hockey. That's all he could ever envision doing. But for me, it was a little harder because I was good at hockey too, and I knew that I had to make a decision. And but my dad was like there was no part of him that was pressuring me into doing anything, which was really cool because I had a little worried about that, but all it takes is a conversation and being open to know that I'm okay to do what I want. But it's also like even nowadays there's some moments where I'm watching hockey, I'm watching the Rangers, or I'm watching my little brother play as he's getting ready to play high school next year, and I'm like, I kind of wish I still played hockey a little bit. Like there's just such a
Mhm.
fun aspect of it. It's just the feeling of it. It's like fighting, the team aspect of it. it's there's moments where I'm like, yeah, sometimes I still wish I played, but I wouldn't want to be anywhere else than where I am now. But definitely wasn't like an easy decision. Like, yeah, I'm just gonna fight. It was a hard decision.
Mm. That makes me so happy that your dad was just welcoming and letting you know that whatever you wanted to do was in your best interest. That's exactly what one needs to hear in that situation. And so you
Mhm.
chose fighting.
Yeah.
What aspect of fighting did you first get introduced to?
Um, I remember probably. Well, I was always into like martial arts, like movies or TV shows when I was a kid. Like Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, like any sort of type of like martial arts, like kids shows or movies. I always like was always drawn to them. There's always something interesting about them. And even when I was a kid, I had like a karate birthday party when I was younger. Like you go to like a karate place and you like break the boards and stuff like that. I was always kind of interested in martial arts and like those aspects. And I would like go on YouTube and YouTube like top 5 karate kicks to use in a street fight or something like that. And I just like practice them, like just like stupid stuff like that. I'd have like a little punching bag. And right around like freshman year of high school, I started seeing like UFC. It was like that's when like Mayweather McGregor, like 2017, that's when Mayweather McGregor was happening. And like that was like a spectacle like nobody had ever seen. So I started watching like UFC on like my on demand like services, just like watching like McGregor's fights. I just became That was my first introduction to it right there. I just became so interested in it. And it was like freshman year of classes started and people were asking like what do you want to do? And I was like, what do you want to do in life? And that was at a point where I was thinking I'm either going to go to the NHL or I feel like I could fight too. Like I had just this feeling I was getting interested in it. And like I was telling you before with magic, like when I get interested in something, I become very obsessed with it. So it was at that point where I was getting obsessed with it. And I turned my attention to that. And then like I said, I became obsessed and I never looked back.
So Conor McGregor, huh?
That was Conor McGregor. That was the
Yeah.
guy. You look at early videos of me, that was who I based my style off of. I even dressed that freshman year, that October, I dressed up as him for Halloween.
You
So,
know, I was gonna ask because I did see the video. I was looking through the Instagram, and you put like a whole compilation together, and the Connor
oh,
Halloween costume was there with the tattoos.
mhm.
Did you have somebody draw that, or was that a print?
That was like one of those like temporary tattoos.
Mm.
It was a like a temporary tattoo. I forget where I found it. It was like on like Etsy or one of those sites where like people make those custom things, and I ordered them, and yeah, it was those are pretty cool. But yeah, that's what those were.
Yeah, that's funny shit, man. It was identical to Connor's tattoos, a funny little replica on your chest. Very
Mhm.
funny stuff. I can relate to that. I feel like Connor, a lot of fighters I talk to, he's like the inspiration, especially like the younger guys in like your age group. Like he's the driving factor for most of these people. Where do you what do you think of Connor 2024?
It's tough to say. It's it's obviously it's not the same Connor. It's not the same motivation. It's not the same discipline, but he's also not the same point in his career. Like he doesn't need to be doing that. He doesn't need to be grinding every day. His goals aren't the same, obviously. His goals have changed. He has all these businesses. He has all these other outlets where he can make money and provide for his family. And if you look at any old interview of Connor, his goal in fighting was to always make money and provide for my family. So my kids will be set up, and that's always been his goal. As much as he's loved fighting, he's always been about providing for his family and not being in that same situation where he was poor and less fortunate. So now, if you got all these other outlets to do it, um, these whiskey businesses, all this other stuff, like that's obviously where his focus is. And as a competitor, I'd like to see him compete again because he was so talented, but I just don't know. He's not training at the same level, which is kind of upsetting, but I'm also glad I got to see him in those. I got to be there for Conor Khabib in those moments too.
Yeah, and monumental moments for the sport, dude. No
Hmm.
moving moments. Yeah. Sad kind of to see where he is today. As big as he is for the sport, like a fight with Connor would blow all our minds. Yet he just doesn't make it happen for us. But yeah, Connor's one of the more, man. We can't have good things about him. Uh, what was it like to walk into a gym for the first time?
Yes, so I started training like as you probably saw, in the video I did. I started training in like my basement, just on a heavy bag. And then I had a friend who I went to high school with, and he's trained at like this MMA gym, but it was like more of like people were really like not like people weren't fighting out of there. It was more of like a karate kid style gym. And so that was cool. That's where I got my first experience with sparring. And but I'd already been training for those 6 months. I already had that confidence in myself where I knew I had, you know, I was working hard and developing my skills even as like a novice. I was never really intimidated at any point. I always felt like I had something to prove where even if I was going against someone that was better than me, I feel like I could match them. I was always almost like there, like right behind them. I was never really intimidated at that place. And then after that, a year later, my birthday's in September, so a year right after my beginning of my sophomore year of high school, my mom got me a private lesson with Glover because he lives in the same town that I do. So she got me a private lesson with Glover at his gym, and I started. She surprised me. She was like, "Well, okay, we're going to MMA practice," and I was like, "This is not the right way." And we pulled up, and it was Glover's gym, and he was waiting there for me. He taped my hands up, uh, and I did the private lesson with him. And he saw me. I was kind of copying McGregor style, and he was like, "Oh, you fight like McGregor?" And I was like, "Yeah, that's who I like to. That's what I like to watch." And we did the private lesson, and he was like, "Hey, I want you should train here," because there was another kid at the time, another smaller kid who was on the fight team but didn't really have a lot of training partners his size. So Glover asked me to go train with them, and then that's where I really got to see like the high level guys and get that. That's when I started feeling like the anxiety going into that gym. Because I was like, I'm training with like the the guys now, the professionals, and that was just a great experience. And Glover just took me in with like open arms, and that was like my first introduction to like a real intense gym, like right into that like fight team on the weekends.
Oh, dude, that's so cool. So we're based off one training was like, you should spend more time here. You should train here full time. And that was it, set in stone. Now you're a full time member today of Teixeira's MMA.
Hmm. And also like he was like Glover's like you hear people say he's like the nicest guy. He is legitimately the nicest guy. Like even when like my parents were working at night and the gym was at night, like he would come and pick me up when I first started going there. He'd come to my house, pick me up, and drive me to the gym and drive me home. Like even when I just started there, like it was really cool. And yeah, so now that's like my full time MMA gym. When I'm home, when I'm at college, I'm at Pride Martial Arts with Ross Levine and those guys. But yeah, when I first started MMA for those years, that was my gym, Teixeira's, and it still is my gym when I'm home. Like I'll be going home for winter break, Thanksgiving in a couple weeks, and I'll be right back in that gym. It's like I never left. So
That's so cool, man. I was wondering how you split that up. Given one is in Connecticut, one is in Rhode Island. How do you split your time up? But it makes sense when you're in school, you spend time over at martial arts. What are you studying in at Rhode Island?
I'm a film major.
Film major. Cool.
Yeah.
All right.
So I'm
What
really into
made you
like
choose film?
so since I was same thing since I was a kid, that was another thing I was interested in, just like making short films, like taking a camera and going on iMovie and just filming stuff with my buddies. So when I got to that point where it's like, I want to fight, but I also, my parents wanted me to go to college too, um, just to get a degree and everything, and get that not just for the degree, but get an experience of living on my own. and getting that experience too. I had to choose like a degree, and I was like, if I'm gonna go to school like this, I want to do it for something that I love, and I've always loved like film, just making editing those film like those short films with my buddies, and I did it, and now that's what I'm doing here now. It's a lot of great creativity I get to make. I wrote and directed a 25-minute long short film last year.
Sick.
Like, you get a lot of creativity, it's a lot of fun, a lot of good experiences, and so, yeah, it's just something I've always been interested in, and so that's why I decided to do it for my major.
That's dope, dude. What was the 25-minute short film or about?
It was about a hitman. It was like a hitman style movie that, I came up with the idea, like, the plot. The part of the plot is kind of like a twist, so, I won't reveal it, but
Gotta go watch it.
exactly, yeah, go watch it. Unsuited, it's called, on YouTube. Um,
Go tune in. Go check it out. That's so cool, dude.
so, it was that plot I came up. We were in the library, like, for finals week with my best friend, Aiden Garvey, um, and, we were just talking about, just about some stuff. He was doing some final stuff I was, and I just talking about movies, and I just came up with the idea. I wrote it down, and then 2 years later, my junior year, when I, was in that class where we needed to make a film, I was like, "Hey, I got this idea," and people loved it. So then we split up into groups, and I became the writer and the director, and that was it. It was really cool.
Nice. That is cool,
Mhm.
bro. And so you're projected to graduate next fall, right? In 2025?
Spring actually though, yeah. So I'm in the spring 25,
Spring.
2025.
Nice, nice, man. That's
Yeah.
that's that's cool stuff. And then once you do graduate and to get a job in film, is it to jump into martial arts full time? It's kind of the post grad plans at the moment.
Yeah, so, I thought about I applied for some internships. I have some family that works for HBO, like Warner Brothers, so I
Nice.
applied for some internships over last summer, but it was really competitive. I didn't get any, but, you know, I wouldn't be opposed to doing both, like getting, maybe starting off the summer with internships and, just to get that experience, get those connections right away. Because even after I fight, like, that's something that I wanna do, because you're not gonna fight till you're that old, and, that's always something that, like, I'd like to do just afterwards, like, in between fights, I'll get some, like, creative inspiration and wanna just, like, just create some stuff, some videos of some sort. So anyways, I don't think, like, starting the summer with some internships isn't a possibility for me, because now I wasn't able to do it, a lot of the times, because my summer was like my time to compete in MMA when I'm back at Teixeira's. And so I didn't want to fill that window with, like, I don't want to waste that time.
Mm,
But after I graduate, I have so much time. Like, it's not like I'm going to be like, oh, I'm going to be back in Rhode Island for the fall and the spring. So I need to compete MMA now. I can, like, start doing internship, and then if I feel good with that, get some connections, I can compete MMA in the fall now. I can compete in the winter. I can kind of balance both things. But the plan is to definitely, try to make those connections with those internships, but also commit myself fully to fighting as well.
mm. You do have a good head on your shoulders, dude. It seems like you know exactly what the next 3 to 5 ish years are kind of gonna look like. So that's
Mhm.
impressive stuff. Last weekend, if not the weekend before, your teammate at Pride Martial Arts, Evan Judkins. I've had him on the show. Cool ass kid. It was great to see him go out there and win a championship. You were in his corner in that title fight. What was the night like?
The night it was a great night. I'm so happy for Evan. That's my boy right there. We call each other long lost brothers, because we kind of look alike. And, like, I was posting, him getting his hand wrapped, and people were swiping up my story saying good luck, thinking that it was me. Uh, so yeah, I'm so happy for him. That was a great night. I drove him up. I picked him up from the hotel, drove him to the fight, and we just, hung out in the back, did what we did. He was the last fight, and I've had that same experience on that no boundary card, fighting all the way at the end. And so, um, we kind of kept him loose, kept him warm, and then it culminated in him fighting pretty late, but he was feeling good. And it was a tough fight. He fought a really like experienced Muay Thai style fighter, and those style fights are hard. But he looked amazing. He adjusted really well. He stayed calm even when he wasn't finding a spot the right way. My coach Andrew Cornell was giving him advice. We had Ross Levine on the phone giving some advice, and even when I was like pulling him aside at the end of rounds, like telling him to start, picking some shots a little bit, he responded really well and did really well. It was a close fight, but I was really happy with the way he pulled it out. He's an awesome teammate, an awesome person.
Yeah, he is. Agreed
Mhm.
100%. Now, that car ride, when you pick him up from the hotel and to the actual arena right before the fight, what's the conversation in the car? Is there even a conversation in the car? You guys just bumping music?
I don't even think I was bumping music the whole time. I think I forgot to turn the music on. I had like a playlist set with some like pump up songs, and we were just talking the whole time. And I kind of forgot to play. I was like, oh, because then on the drive back, I started playing. I just put my music on, and it was like these pump up songs. I was like, oh, like it's like 1 in the morning, and now I'm getting pumped up. But because I forgot to play them earlier. But we were just talking about fighting, about how he's feeling, about the carbs, because I'm in that mode too. It's the weight cut mode, and I was just like getting all the details from him, getting kind of jealous about all the carbs that he was eating and how he was feeling fresh, energetic, ready to go. We're just talking about the fight and just talk, treating it like we're on our way to sparring or something like that. Because we a lot of times we take some rides up to Hard Knocks in Boston together, and so we were just treating it like that, just another day, and going to get some business done.
And boy, was business done, man. Successful
Mhm.
business. And new. Hashtag congrats, Evan.
Mhm.
Hopefully the team can go back to back. Of course, you're fighting November 9th
Yep.
for a kickboxing title, RFC. What's the emotions headed into this one? How are you feeling?
I'm feeling really excited for this one. I think it's like the perfect scenario, the perfect setup for myself. It's in a cage, first of all, which is great, especially for that MMA long-term experience. I fought in a cage before when I fought my MMA fight, but now I get to do that. Was like all I barely got to strike in that fight because I fought a wrestler who shot on me at the beginning of the first two rounds that it did last before I finished him. But so I didn't really get to feel the ring craft of the cage at all. So I'm really excited to be able to do that this fight, and it's also going to be no shin guards fight too, which I'm really excited for. So it's really going to be like simulating that MMA style situation in the cage, no shins, and fighting a really experienced, really tough opponent that I'm really looking forward to. I think it's like the perfect situation for me.
Why do you say that? Why do you think it's the perfect situation?
Uh, well, just because, like I said, the rule set, the kickboxing, I always feel like I could strive more with that because I fought a lot of Thai
Mm.
fights, um, and I feel like the clinch. It's not something that slows me down, but I feel like with my style, a lot of people just try to stall with the clinch. They always, even if I'm fighting strikers that aren't, very well versed in the clinch, they end up just trying to go there because they don't want to stand with me at all. So I feel like K1, which is the rule set, the kickboxing rule set, when you're not really supposed to be clinching, you get like a couple seconds, and then that's really it. You're not really supposed to do that at all. You have to be striking. I feel like it's really just going to suit for my style. I'm going to get to doing all the things that I like to do and just really putting on a show. I feel like I'm going to be able to pull all the tricks out of my bag, so to say, and in this style of fight.
Let's go. Now you said your opponent AJ Gilbert is a tough veteran of the sport. What else do you know about him? Anything specific that you got your eyes on heading into this?
I always do research on my opponents and look them up. It looks like he fought Shane Burgos's younger brother in like a smoker type thing. Ryan Burgos, who's
Mhm.
actually like I think he just turned pro MMA, which is pretty cool. I didn't know that until I researched it, but that was cool. He's also just like really experienced. I've watched all of his fights. Uh, he's really tough, really like gritty pressure. Takes a shot well, delivers shots well with power. Everything's with power, and all his losses are only like razor close losses. Like he hasn't really lost definitively. The fights that he's won, he's put on really good performances and won them in impressive ways. And the fights that he's lost have been razor close decisions. So it's not like there's like a clear path to victory against him. But I think I have a game plan that's gonna take care of that.
Mm. And lastly, on the fight, what would winning it mean to you?
Winning it would mean a lot to me. Just based on I've had a lot of like different sort of struggles in the past year, dating back to like July of last year. Just things just weren't going right in training. I had some injuries and things like that that I had to overcome, illnesses. And that's the stuff that like you don't really see posted on social media because I'm in that moment I'm so focused on just trying to get myself back to where I need to be. And I was telling you about earlier, my grandfather who lives with me. Both my grandparents used to live with me my entire life, just like that Italian kind of lifestyle, like those. That's very normal for like the grandparents to live with the family. And so I lost my grandmother over the summer, and that was a very mentally challenging thing for me
Sorry
because
to hear that, man.
thank you. Yeah, something like that's so challenging because it's such a change in my life. It was such a change in routine because of like every morning I'd come down and she'd be there. She'd have a helper with her because she dealt with a lot of illnesses for such a long time. She fought for so long. She was sick since my mom was like a young girl. But she was always there every morning, every day of my life. She was living with me, and I would come down in the morning when I'm home and I'd eat breakfast next to her, and then I'd go to the gym and then come back. It was kind of that routine. So when that's changed and then all of a sudden it's taken away from you, it's really mentally challenging. And it was also mentally challenging in a way where, sometimes with a death like that that's really close to you or something that like affects you like that, it is you kind of consider your own humanity, your own mortality a little bit. And that's something that I struggled with too. Like the feeling like she's gone all of a sudden. That's gonna happen to me one day. I'm gonna die one day, and
Mm.
so I struggle with that, like mental health, like spirituality, all those type of things. And I wanted to fight, but I wanted to maybe to distract myself, but it's hard to do that stuff. Like you end up like you can't really focus on stuff when you're thinking of those like deep existential things in the back of your mind. So I really worked hard to ground myself, talking to my coach about that stuff, being open with him because my Andrew Cornell, my coach's experience, a close loss to him as well. And so having him as a resource to talk to as I'm dealing with these things was really important. And just being grounded, being present, knowing why you're doing what you're doing, knowing that no matter what happens ever in the distant future and now, like nothing can ever change and take away like the love that I had for her and will always have for her. And so staying grounded in that is really important. And I feel like now I'm at a point where now I've dealt with those things. I know how to address them. And I am fully prepared and more grounded as a person. And being present like that is only going to help me in the fight and in the future in my fighting career. And so that experience has really helped me grow. And I feel like being culminated in a title fight win like that after going through a really pushing myself in this camp, I feel like it's gonna mean a lot to me to come and get that title and do that for her.
Mm. Such a deep answer, brother. I'm so sorry to hear about your loss to your family. But it is beautiful that you did get to spend a ton of time with your grandmother. That is
Thank
definitely a
you.
blessing. And like you said, that love you always will be able to feel that, right? That always exists within. And yeah,
Mhm.
that was a far deeper answer than I was expecting. I really
I'm
appreciate
sorry
you.
about that, but that's
Uh,
real. That's like when I'm
that's
thinking about
real.
that's when I'm thinking about my motivation for this fight. I didn't expect to get this real, but like that is the motivation. That is what I'm thinking about. That is like the things that people and fighters don't talk about and you don't post about. Like you're thinking about these things, And sometimes, everyone has these like deep thoughts sometimes, but you don't know about it until people talk about it. And talking with like my coaches and people that are close to me, my friends, you kind of everybody's human, everybody deals with these things, and it's real life. And so that's why like doing this and pushing through that and getting myself to a place where I'm ready to compete and know what I need to do and get into that mindset. That's why this fight is going to mean so much to me.
Mm, mm, powerful stuff. Uh, we talked about a whole lot of things regarding you. You fought in Muay Thai, kickboxing, MMA, jiu-jitsu. Is there a favorite one? Is there one that was the most fun for you, and why?
It's tough because I've had fun in all my fights. I love to like put on a show, and even for my first fight, like which was kickboxing, I was kind of doing like the showmanship type thing, like drop my hands a little bit, and I love doing that stuff. There's just so much. I love to have fun when I'm in the ring. I would say the most fun one. It's tough. Probably the MMA fight, because I got to finish in that fight. And, putting on the MMA gloves, stepping in the cage for that first time, it's a different sort of fear. Um, Not really a fear, but like a feeling. Like I look across the cage, I see the guy with the small gloves and those shin guards, and I'm like, this guy's gonna try to hurt me right now. And I felt that, and I was like, so feeling that and getting a TKO finish in that fight was like that was so much fun. That was a great fight. But yeah, I don't know. I have fun in all my fights. I think MMA has to be the most fun because I remember after I finished him, I get up, I get on the cage, I see my family, and then and then it kind of sets in like I just finished like my first MMA fight, and it just kind of like I just kind of let out like a scream. It was great. It was a fun time. That's probably the most fun.
Combat Zone 2 does put on a good show. They got the arena over there in New Hampshire, so it's
Combat
pretty.
Zone,
It's
yeah,
it's like
yeah, they put on a great show. Even like in the little stuff like the flow of the show, like they get someone to come get you, take you right there. Like they pace it really well. You could see as a fighter in the locker room, set up really well. They got the stream going. They do a great show. So I'd love to fight for them again.
heck yeah. Well, hopefully we see that. But before then, November 9th, RFC. How can people watch if they can't make it out to New York?
So there will be a live stream, I believe, RFC Promotions. I think it's RFC Promotions TV or live or something like that. You go to their Instagram, they'll post about it. I'll be posting about it if you follow me. I'll post a link to the live stream. But yeah, I'd love to get some eyes on this because it's going to be a great fight. It's going to be a great show and a great performance. So I'm really excited.
Hell yeah. Well, brother, it was a pleasure to meet you. Listeners, please follow him, Kyle period Bowler on
That's
Instagram.
right.
Make
So
sure make sure you watch him go capture a kickboxing title November 9th. Again, brother, it was a pleasure meeting you. Thank you for the time tonight and go get him November.
thank you, man. Really, again, just I want to say I appreciate what you do for us fighters. This show, it's really like it feels like as an amateur, I feel like a professional because of the work you do. All of the fighters really appreciate it. So thank you for having me on.
Hell yeah, brother. Thank you for those words. We're both amateurs. One day we will be professionals.
Yes, sir. We'll get there.